Okay.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the David the Dog Trainer Podcast, episode 179.
Woo.
I promise everybody, we are not going to be going over more studies today. I promise.
Oh, are you sure?
I promise everybody.
You think they're over it?
I think they might be over it. So we won't do it. You know what? I just realized these are not the same.
Should they be the same?
I think probably.
I don't know.
I don't know. I generally try to keep them the same.
Yeah. You were kind of talking over your mic also last time. You were like this.
Was I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I was trying to read.
Yeah, you're trying to read so much.
my B, guys.
It's all good.
My B. Yeah, no more studies. I'm studied out right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've printed out a small book.
I mean, literally, this is, I think, probably 50 or 60 pages. Maybe more, honestly. What's this one? 23. Oh, no, it's easily more.
Yeah.
This one's probably 10. It's probably 65 pages, is my guess.
And you read at least 50 of those.
Yeah. So we're done with them. Interesting concepts, obviously, that we got into, with obviously Ivans, then moving into the domains and the fucking, what was the other one that we read? I don't even remember.
The
least
life.
inhibitive,
Yeah.
functionally effective. So we learned some things. Hopefully the listeners learned some things and didn't all dip out on us too fast.
Yeah, you didn't fall asleep, right, guys?
Yeah. So today what we're going to do is we'll just kind of, I got some miscellaneous topics we'll get into. But doing a lot of training. A couple of my trainers are out of town right now, so I'm picking up some of their lessons, helping out with things, obviously. We lost, I don't know if I talked about it on here or not, Seamus, our one board and train trainer, is no longer with us now. He's having a baby. Very exciting. With babies come big life changes.
Yep.
So he's no longer training dogs. He works for the Cleveland Natural History Museum now, which is pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, it's cool.
He always had a degree. He went to school for something in like exotic animals.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked at the zoo before he worked for us.
Yeah.
And worked with the animals there. And obviously our Cleveland Natural History Museum has like an exotic animal area. So he's working in there now. So very cool. Kind of getting back to his roots. But anyways, with that comes, I've kind of absorbed a lot of his old clients and the follow-up support obviously provided with them.
Yeah.
So it's been cool. I like I like challenging myself sometimes with jumping into like mid programs or jumping into situations where like, a board and train has been finished, but maybe only one follow-up session has been done. So I could look at the dog and I could see this dog is highly trained, obviously. We did our job while the dog was with us. Mm-hmm. So now I get to just kind of help the owner navigate some of those types of things.
True.
So it's been cool. So I'm going to kind of just get into some of these topics here. We'll kind of just talk about some things, kind of keep the episode a little random, a little rambly, stuff like that, and kind of go from there.
Okay.
So here's the first thing that's been on my mind. I see this all the time. I see this all the time on social media. People write it in comments. People make videos about it. And I want to push back on this phrase because I understand what people mean with it. But I also think the phrase is worded poorly, right?
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Give it to me.
So, e-collars or prong collars are a great tool when used properly.
I do hear that a lot.
We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
What does that phrase mean to you, Josh?
It's a great tool when they're used properly.
Yes.
So what they're trying to say is...
You smell that heat?
I do smell the...
I feel it warming up. So for anybody that doesn't know, we do this podcast in the attic of my house. It's like a finished attic, obviously. Yeah. And the house has zoned heating and cooling.
Yes.
Right? So obviously up here, we do the podcast up here, but like I've got a little office in the back. Like I'm not up here very much, right? Yeah. So I don't want to spend the money cooling and heating it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what we do is in the winter time, we don't turn the heat or the cooling on until we come up and it is noticeably like, damn, it's getting fucking cold. And then in the summertime, vice versa. The air conditioning doesn't go on until we get up and we're like, damn, it's really fucking hot. So today we came up, and it was the first time I was like, it's pretty chilly up here. So we
Yeah.
set it to 65.
Yeah. What was
So
the
it's in the
temperature?
process of warming up as this episode goes. It was at, I think, like 53 or something.
God.
Yeah.
No wonder we were freezing.
Yeah.
Oh my
So it's
god.
warming up right now, so I smell the heat turning
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Is this the first time, right?
It's the first time the heat has gone on this
Yeah.
year. So
Burning all the dust.
that's right. Anyways, sorry. E-collars and prong collars are a great tool when used properly.
Yeah. So, what does that mean to me?
Yeah, I mean, what does that phrase mean to you, and what do you think my criticism of it might be?
I mean, I guess I would kind of agree with them if you're using them in the wrong way, but I don't know if you've been through training. I don't think you should be using them the wrong way. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because I mean, I'm trying to think how I would like explain this.
Okay, let me reword it. Are you
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah, reword it for me.
Television is a great tool when used properly. A screwdriver is a great tool when used properly.
Yeah.
Your car is a great tool when used properly.
So you're saying it's like a way too general of a statement, basically.
Kind of. So here's my thing, right?
Yeah.
And this is a short one. This is just something I was just thinking about
Yeah.
the other day. Right?
Okay.
So I'll talk through it.
Yes,
you know?
please give it to me.
It's just a great tool,
Yeah.
right? E-collars are a great tool,
Yeah.
right? Prong collars are a great tool. Food is a great tool,
Yeah.
right? A hammer is a great tool. A screwdriver is a great tool,
Yeah.
right? That's it. Like, that's just it. There's no like when used properly,
Yeah.
right? Because like
Yeah.
the intended use of the tool, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Right? So
I see
like
what you're saying now.
Okay, like I understand again. The whole point of people saying that is like, well, it could be misused. Anything can get misused. And this is my continued frustration. I think I've talked about a little bit before of people that like will make videos on stuff, right? And people will comment on the videos and just be like, well, if somebody does this wrong, you know, like it's bad, right? When you do anything wrong, it's bad.
I was going to say.
Right? Like the standard that, and I understand not everybody does this, but that's not my problem, right? That's
Yeah.
not anybody's problem. But like, yeah, like a hammer is a great tool, but if you use a hammer to build a house wrong and the house falls apart or the
Yeah.
floor caves out under you because you used it wrong, it doesn't mean it's a bad tool. It's
Yeah.
it's not a bad tool at that point.
Yeah.
It's just the individual using the tool had no clue what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right? And there's only so much you could do to stop people from using tools in general
Yeah.
improperly. But that doesn't make them bad tools anymore.
Yeah.
That means somebody did something stupid in general, and regardless of the tool they used, it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like the whole conversation about, like, they talk about if you're going to ban prong collars and like everybody wants to ban prong collars and e-collars, right? But it's like, I've heard this a million times before also. It's like people that would be using that tool poorly, and when I say using that tool poorly, I mean like truly just out of anger abusing dogs with tool. I'm not talking about you trained something wrong or this or that, because I think people seriously overplay the like the you're going to create problems and destroy the dog and like all of that kind of stuff, you know, side of things. I think you could use it. Yeah, you could use it incorrectly and it's like you don't get the desired outcome, but it's like I don't think you're doing a ton of harm. But the people that are going to do a ton of harm and truly use it so improperly that they're creating these like extreme problems with dogs, if you ban those tools, they're going to do it with something else.
Yeah.
Right? Those people are going to use a regular leash improperly and be strangling the dog with it, right? Those people are going to be physically hitting the dog or you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's not the tool, it's the person. That's another thing that we hear all the time. That I agree with, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the tool. It's
Yeah.
about the person. So I don't know. I just don't like that phrase. It's a good tool when used properly. Like, it's just a good tool,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just a tool. Frankly, it's just a tool.
Yeah.
The tool doesn't do anything wrong, right?
No. No. Yeah. And when you put it that way, I mean, like, food is a great tool, but could be used improperly. Even food, praise, anything, any kind of thing that you do at the wrong time.
So how could we reword this, right? We could reword this maybe in a way that's better, where it's like, okay, instead of saying e-collars and prong collars are a good tool when used properly, that implies when they're used improperly, they're a bad tool, right? I don't like, it's not a bad tool.
Yeah.
Right? E-collars and prong collars can help you achieve your desired outcome quickly when used properly.
Yeah.
Right? Because that would imply then that when they're used improperly, they do not help you achieve your desired outcome, right? Which would be accurate.
That would be
that
accurate.
point,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or rephrasing it in a way where it's like, I don't know. That's the only way I could really see. I could only see rephrasing it. I just don't. I don't like the implication that they are a bad tool sometimes. They are not a bad tool sometimes, right?
No.
They're bad people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes way more sense. Yeah, it's just too general of a thing. It's not a bad tool. It's just the person is improperly using it. It's a user error.
It's a user error, right? Yeah. Again, no different than anything else. So I don't know. Again, it seems like a petty little thing, but it's just something I was thinking about because like people comment it all the time. And again, the implication, it goes back to like when people see our videos and say, well, people are going to try to do what you're saying and they're going to do it wrong and it's your fault. It's like everything you do, you should try to do the way that it is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
Right? Like, so just because I like am doing something in a video that you may see, right? But like, you know, this assumption that it's going to make other people try to do it and then they're going to try to do it improperly. It's like, I watch fucking videos of like, I don't know, like chiropractic or like things like that. Yeah. It's like you make it like that. So you could say the same thing of like, oh, well, like you posting these videos of doing a chiropractic adjustment on somebody is going to make me try to go give Kate a fucking adjustment on her neck and snap her neck and she's going to die, right? Like chiropractic is a good tool when used properly. It's like chiropractic is never a bad tool, right? Yeah. Like it's just when it's done right, it can help you.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great point. It's like if you're putting information out there, it's not on you.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that's take number one.
Yeah.
Is e-collars and prong collars are just great tools, guys.
Now I'm just gonna think of people at home trying to snap each other's necks like a chiropractor.
I have thought about trying to do. No, I'm just kidding. All because of those damn videos.
Yeah.
All right, so that's thing number one. So let's move on to the next thing. So I talked in detail about this dog Murphy that I was working with, the German Shepherd that was just really jazzed up, if you will. Yeah. Right? Like, again, fairly compliant, no big issues from like an obedience standpoint or anything like that. But he was really struggling with arousal issues. And I think I talked about that a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. And I just wanted to kind of give everybody an update because I've seen him now twice since that lesson, or since we talked about it on the podcast, last one being yesterday. And he is crushing it. And really, it wasn't so much that we had to do anything different with him. As much as we had to recalibrate his owner's mind a little bit, right? She was just too focused on the arousal on the walk. And again, it was just, he was walking fine with her. He was, right? He would hold it down, stay when she asked her to. There was no problem. He was being compliant to her. He was just so amped up, right? So we really did a lot of work with her of going over, doing more off-leash stuff with him. Right? And letting him run and play and get his wiggles and stuff out of his system and just prioritizing that stuff and making the walk and the obedience just like that's the necessity to get to the things that we needed to do with him, right? She was really looking at she wanted to take him for more walks to burn off the energy, right? As opposed to we take him for walks to go places to burn off the energy. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. So instead of the walks being the exercise, because this was not an adequate form of exercise for him, the walks are the necessity to get to the places where we could then allow him to burn off the energy. Yep. And since we kind of recalibrated that, and instead of her, because she would usually have 30 minutes to go out and take him for a walk or whatever. And she would do it usually twice a day, which is good. Listen, An hour a day of being able to give your dog exercise is better than what most people are doing, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So she would start looking at it from that standpoint. She found a field around the corner from her house, right? She walks him to the field, and then she lets him run around, right? And she takes the ball, and she'll go and like play ball with him and things like that. And she reported back, yesterday was the first time she came in. She said, we had a really good week. We had a really good week. We prioritized that kind of stuff with him.
Yeah.
He's happier. We're less stressed out, we're less like on edge, around him and stuff. And the on edgeness is just like when you're right next to a dog that's just really fucking wound up all the time. It's like you get really wound up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just nice. Like, the lesson we did yesterday, like, we were working – there's other things we were working on, too. Like, he was being a little bit, like, skittish at the vet. So we worked some, like, handling things at the beginning of the session, obviously. But after that, took him for a walk, took him to the park around the corner from the shop. And, we got there, and he walked fine. A little bit antsy, a little bit wound up and stuff. But he walked fine. We got to the park, and we just, this big field, took him off leash. And as soon as we took him off leash, again, it's like beautiful from the standpoint of like, he's just so happy, right?
Yeah.
He's just running around, having a good time. And listen, like this field that I'm talking about is like, there's a community center, there's a elementary school, there's a playground, there's a baseball diamond, there's a big open field, right? And like, school was getting let out like right around that time, so like kids are coming out, like it was really busy, people riding their bikes, stuff like that. And this dog is just off leash, just enjoying himself. And it's like I was pointing out to her like a couple of different things. One, like getting back to this is not an obedience problem. Your dog is fully off leash right now, and there's every type of distraction around us right now, and he could care less about those distractions. Like, distractions aren't a problem. Obedience isn't a problem with him. But he's burning off his energy. He was having a good time. And then, after we got, we let him just tear around and hang out and stuff, and he started kind of settling down. We worked a little bit of obedience with him, right? Engaged the mental stimulus a little bit, and we kind of almost... started working on some more like competitive style stuff with him, like working on a little bit more of like a formal, like focused heel position and stuff. And it was, it was great. And then we walked back. And again, the walk back was just 100 times better than the walk there. Not that the way there was bad by any means, but he was just so much better because you could tell he got the outlet, right? Yeah. He got the stimulus out. So
exactly.
I'm just showing her how to structure her exercise with him in a way where she's not fighting him so much, she's working with him,
Yeah.
And it was just cool. I like that a lot. And it tied into another lesson I ironically did. Did we talk about one of these last ones, Jake, at all?
I don't think so.
We did the off-leash hiking with. Did we talk about that? I don't remember.
We'll go over it maybe briefly. Faintly.
So it ties into another lesson that I'm working with right now.
Yeah.
Similar situation, very highly obedience trained dog, but just a ball of energy, like an absolute non-stop ball of energy, right?
Yeah.
And same deal. She takes him for walks through her neighborhood. She lives in Lakewood. It's like a city environment, right? And this dog he wants to fucking go, And like he walks with her and he holds it, but you can tell it's so fucking hard for him, to stay with her the whole time, and it's stressful. Like she doesn't enjoy taking him for walks, not because he's pulling her, not because he's not listening to her or anything, but the whole time she's walking this dog, he's sitting there.
Yeah,
just like vibrating. And it's, again, like that energy, like when that's right next to you and you're trying to go for like a leisurely walk, like it's terrible. It's so annoying, right? But again, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just full of energy, right?
Right.
So I told her, I was like, our next lesson, I was like, let's meet up. There's this hiking trail that I go on with my dogs. It's a bridle trail that there's never anybody on, right? So I said, let's meet up there, So we went there. And we freaking... Hold on.
We got some videos?
Yeah.
Got some proof of the pudding, huh?
Let me find it. Yeah, like, look at these two, right? She got two dogs, just off leash, hanging out, doing their thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out. Whatever. So.
Looking great.
And we were on this walk, and we did like, I think we were out there for like an hour and a half or something. It was long. It was my last lesson of the day. Like, I'm having a good time. I get to be out in nature, hang out, go for a nice hike in the woods, right? And these dogs, I remember she said something like halfway through the lesson. She was like, this is incredible. And she didn't even mean like she didn't believe he could do it. Like, she knew he was trained, right? Yeah. But she's like, they're so happy right now. They're just so happy, like, and I'm so relaxed right now because I see that they're happy, and like all the stress she usually sees with him of just like, like out on the walk and stuff like that. There's none of it. He's just having a good time.
Yeah.
And she's like, she said the same thing. She said, I need to start prioritizing this more. Like she said that, and I was just like, yes, prioritize this more, right? Work with the dog, not against the dog.
Yeah.
Right? Figure out ways to really, truly satisfy your dog's needs. So it's cool because we don't get a lot of dogs like this. A lot of dogs, they fit into the mold well, if you will. They fit into the mold well of like, I don't know. They just, you could take them for the daily walk around the block.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And you teach them to ignore the distractions and like, maybe you throw a ball every now and then for them and they run around in the backyard and they're fine. And
that's enough.
There's no big issue or anything like that.
Yeah.
Where, sometimes you get these dogs that like, they don't fit into that mold.
Yeah.
Like you have to think outside of the box a little bit, not from a training standpoint, not like we have to train this dog differently, right? But what you need to do with the dog to satisfy them, right? Yeah. I talked about it all the time. Like it was similar that like with Vinny, like when I first got Vinny, I used to just butt heads with him so much because I wanted him to fit into the mold of what every other dog like does, right? Yeah. Like how he behaves in the crate, how he behaves when people come over, how loud or quiet he is over things. Like, just everything.
Yeah.
I had this false picture in my head of like what he was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Even how he walked on a leash, right? Like he was one of the very first dogs that showed me that not every dog is going to walk in this picture perfect precision heel for your entire walk around the block. Now, again, I say that with the caveat, but that doesn't mean they're walking bad. That doesn't mean they're pulling you, right? That doesn't mean that it's physically impossible for them to heel or anything like that. It just means his natural cadence in the way that he walks with you is like the center of his body is in line with my leg.
Yeah.
And like to a lot of your purists out there that teach like heels and stuff, like they would look at that and be like, that's a shitty heel.
Of course.
Your dog's forging. I think I even had trainers try to tell me that before, like in the past, like when I would post videos of him of like, that's not a fucking heel. It's like, okay, cool. Like he walks amazing with me though.
Yeah.
And I used to fight him over these things so much because I wanted that picture of like some of these certain things. And until I kind of accepted some of the needs that he had as far as like what helped him. And so I started working with him as opposed to fighting with him over certain things.
Yeah.
I had like a really like toxic relationship with him because of that, and like that all got alleviated once I started working with him and providing, better outlets for him. And I started, even from a training standpoint, adjusting some of my expectations to work with him and make it easier. And things just got better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Like you said, there's dogs where that fit the mold that, you go on that long, like they'll walk around the block and they're good because their mental stimulation is just peaked enough for holding like their accountability on that walk. Yeah. They don't need the running around and stuff. But when you have dogs that have that high energy or like Vinny, just it's like all the time, like, he's just a little different than other dogs. Like he's got more pent up something. I don't know. Vinny's got his own special thing, but you realize that, the more I fight against that, the worse it's going to be. Like I should just let him have like control over him, but in his own way that you wouldn't do with some other dog. Yeah. Like you realize that. That he can't just fit that same mold.
Yep.
And I think that is like a lot of people that do have that get their dog trained, they have that picture, like this is what we're supposed to have, or maybe they watch some of your videos and think, oh, my dog is supposed to be just like this one, you know, and they get hooked up on that. Mm-hmm. So I think, letting people know that it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't have to be a picture perfect thing as long as it works for you and your dog.
Yeah. So that was cool. Those are 2 cool dogs we've been working with.
Yeah.
Just finding ways to show people how to provide what their dog needs. Okay, next thing here. I wrote down in quotations, icebreaker moment. Right? So let's talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
So a lot of times when you're doing behavioral modification work, especially when you're working with like serious reactivity or aggression or, anxiety or things like that, a lot of times before you really start seeing a lot of trajectory in the right direction, you have what I refer to as the icebreaker moment with dogs. Okay. And generally speaking, what I mean when I say the icebreaker moment is some sort of messy repetition where the dog basically is going to kind of, if you will, exhaust themselves of whatever behavior it is we're trying to eradicate, and then finally achieve some degree of calmness, right? Some will refer to that as we've said before, in some cases, the extinction burst, right? Some may just refer to that as the messy middle, right? There's a million, whatever, however you want to call it. I call it the icebreaker moment sometimes, right?
Okay.
So I did a lesson the other day with a client, has 4 dogs, and the one dog is just historically been really scared of all the others and has gotten in some fights with the others because he's really scared of them. And the owners have basically accidentally reinforced it up until this point and have kept the dogs separate, right? So we had with this dog a couple of big icebreaker moments in this session, this first session we did where we started reintroducing them. And I kind of want to walk through some of the things that we did, right? Okay. So first and foremost, my initial instructions for them were make sure that when these dogs aren't actually interacting with each other, that you could keep them under control in the presence of each other, right? So they did that. They would work like a downstay, for example, with him and have the other dogs out on a leash and, have him hold that downstay and correct him if he broke it because he was trying to react to them or something. And they did this consistently, right? But they never really worked through the emotional side of things with the dog. Basically what they did is they would take him out. He would react maybe once or twice. They would correct him, put him in the down, and then he would hold the down, and they would do that for a couple minutes and put the dogs away. But the problem was every time they did it, they corrected the reactivity, they got him into the down, and he was in the down, but he was like... right?
Frozen, huh?
Locked on.
Yeah.
Right? Like locked on, definitely wanting to react still, but physically he was doing the thing that they wanted.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So the first thing that I had them do was I said, what you're doing right now isn't quite enough, right? You're achieving the down, but you're never allowing him to learn to be calm around these other dogs. So what we did is first and foremost, we put him into the down. We brought all the other dogs out. Same deal. He held the down fine, but he was locked on. Really aroused, really stimulated, right?
Jeez.
And I said, all right, let's just hang out. Okay. So we sat there outside with these dogs for probably 20 minutes, right? Maybe even a little bit longer than that. And as we did it, we were just chit-chatting, hanging out, and we noticed his energy and his fixation go from crazy fixated to like looking, to like a little bit concerned, to like attention starting to drift elsewhere, to literally... rolled on his side and just sacked out and started sleeping. I was like, see that right there? I was like, now we end the session, right? So we ended the session, we put the dogs away, right? And I said, next time you do this, every time you do this, I said, it's not just about gaining the physical compliance. It's about seeing that he's finally learning to accept being in the presence of the other dogs. Yeah. Because once you have that initial icebreaker moment, right? And this is one example of an icebreaker moment for me, obviously, then that will start to compound on itself. And you'll notice each time he will get into that state of mind faster because he's becoming comfortable right?
Yeah.
Where the way they were doing it before, they were achieving the physical compliance, but at no point, every time they ended the session, he was still very concerned about the other dogs.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do that enough times, eventually it will start becoming more neutral, but they never let him work through those emotions, obviously. Yeah. Right. So that was the first thing that we did in helping to achieve some icebreaker with this. Right. Then we took him inside and we went to do the exact same drill, because a lot of times outside and inside are two very different things. Right. Outside, they're a little bit more free. They're not quite as concerned. They might not be as territorial, stuff like that. Yep. So we went to do the same drill inside, and his behavior was like exactly as anticipated, like 50% worse, right? Just fucking really arousing. Instead of just being fixated, lunging, barking, freaking out, stuff like that. And same deal. We sat there. I think we did like a 2 or 3 hour long session with this client. We worked him through it, right?
Yeah.
Worked him through it. Same deal. Had the owner have him, give him a little correction for it, right? And finally, we saw the same thing where he went from the lunging and the freaking out, right? And to then he started, same deal, laying there, but just like very concerned when they would move around and things like that. To finally, by the end of that, I think we did this probably for like 45 minutes also, laid down, sacked out on his side, right? Became comfortable in one, the behavior's not working with what he wanted to achieve, which was make the dogs go away. Yeah. And two, oh wait, the dogs aren't actually posing a threat to me in this moment. Yeah. So he became comfortable enough to then lay down and actually fall asleep and take a nap, right? So that was his second icebreaker moment with things. And my instruction leaving the session for them was you have to recreate both of these drills with the expectation that you're going to get this nonsense initially with him and allow him to work through it and see that each time it will get easier and easier and easier because you've had these icebreaker moments now with him. Yeah. Right? So that was my instruction for them, because up until this point, and again, we hadn't worked on this yet, but anytime in the past prior to training that they tried to reintroduce these dogs, anytime they would get those big responses, their brain would go to, oh, this isn't working. Yeah. So they would stop, right? Which reinforces the responses, obviously, right? As opposed to expecting you're going to have that messy icebreaker moment and being in a position to fully work through it to get the desired outcome that you want, right? So you have to reframe. In some cases, there's no amount of training that you're going to do that's just going to avoid that icebreaker moment. There's no amount of training that you're going to do that's going to make it so the first time you go to reintroduce that dog to the pack that he has had a difficult time socializing with historically in the past, where he's not going to be all reactive and need to get some of that out of his system, right? There's no amount of training you're going to do that's just going to eliminate the messy middle and just make it this seamless process. Sometimes they have to be put in that scenario and let them just exhaust themselves of the behavior to then achieve the state of mind that we want. Then we start patterning in the proper state of mind that we want. Yeah. By repetition of putting them in the situation until we get the state of mind. Right?
Very much so.
So that was another interesting lesson that I did that I think was kind of cool to highlight a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think it is like for that dog, like this whole time that before you like put him in stasis kind of and made him like learn to get through it? Like what is it with dogs that like keeps them in that certain, like, I don't know, stressed out spot, defensive spot, like, and they never can get through it themselves?
What do you mean?
Like,
ask that again.
Like how he, he's kind of fearful of all the other dogs and everything, and nothing has ever actually happened to him, but he's still stuck in that mindset that he has to be afraid of them.
Well, things have happened. I mean, so the reason why so obviously as you start doing these things, you have to figure out why the fight started in the first place. Obviously, True. With fighting dogs, that is one of those cases where you truly do need to get to the root of the problem. Obviously, okay. And the root of the problem in this situation was all of the dogs independently had a lot of behavioral issues that were creating points of contention in the house. Okay. Right. So one of the dogs was really bad about resource guarding things. Right. One of the dogs was really bad about just kind of being the police officer of the household. Right. One of the dogs was just really anxious all the time. Right. So all of those independent problems that you'll see contribute to the larger problem of certain dogs, when they're put in an environment, when you have like a resource guarder, a really anxious dog, a police officer around all the time, they can't ever feel comfortable. So they're more irritable and they're more likely to react. So we've worked to solve all of those issues at this point, right? And all of the dogs in the house are in a good spot. But that state of mind of him being uncomfortable around the dogs still exists because of all of the stuff historically up until that point.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So it's just like, it's how he learned to be. So he's like, this is what I have to do to
for
survive.
Sure. Yeah. And then when you start getting into like when the problems start and then owners separate all of the dogs, you know, and then just keep them separated, that reinforces that there is something to be concerned about, makes it more novel when you go to try to put them back together with each other, you know.
That makes sense.
Which is why it's catch-22 when we have people call, say, oh my God, my dog started fighting. I want to sign up for training. Should I get my dogs back together right away? And it's like, damn, like, you know, like, no, because we've got to figure out why the dog started fighting in the first place, right? And you need to get some communication on the dogs in order to, you know, in order to start working through these problems. Yeah. But like, yes, we want to figure out a way to get them together at least a little bit, because like the longer you keep them separated post-fight, the bigger a problem you have. I've shared my story before about like Deli and Vera, my two dogs, when they used to fight with each other. Bloody, brutal fucking fights. We did a whole podcast episode on it. You guys can watch. It's called like Fighting Dogs or something like that.
Yeah.
And I explained how I worked through it and everything, obviously, and how they're fine. Right. It's been years since any sort of problem. But with them, I remember when they got in their one really fucking big fight where they like totally like drains everywhere. Like they were fucked up. And I talked about the next morning, I put them back together with each other. Even though they're all fucked up and everything, I had to get them back together with each other immediately. Yeah. Immediately. Right. But I had the skills and I knew what to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Again, watch the episode for the full thing. But like that's usually what creates the biggest problem is everything. One fight happens and everything adjusts then at that point. Yeah. Everybody's life gets flipped upside down. Their routines change and it just creates tons of problems.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on here. We'll jump to this one next. Okay. So I did a lesson that's going to come out on our dog vlog. I don't know when Paige is releasing it. I would assume, if not this week, Monday or Tuesday of next week, obviously.
Good to see those back, by the way.
Yeah. So we I don't even think I told you this. We hired another media person.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Another media person that's making reels. Because Paige has been doing basically everything.
Yeah.
She makes full videos. She does too much. So we hired another person part-time to start making reels. So Paige no longer is in charge of making reels now. She is back on YouTube duty, like full content duty.
Love that.
Right?
Love that.
So we'll have a consistency again to the full videos we've been putting up, because she's been doing too much other stuff where it's been inconsistent, the full videos we've been able to get out. So
yeah.
So anyways, so this there will be a lesson that you'll be seeing with the dog Bear that we did yesterday, and Bear is a young yellow lab mix of sorts. Psycho of a dog. Yeah. Absolute psycho. What I should say was an absolute psycho of a dog, because we did his last follow-up lesson yesterday. His owner is like mid-80s. She's older, right?
Okay.
Her husband just died. She's got this dog, and like her granddaughter kind of helps her with the dog and stuff, right? But this lady is very limited as far as what she can do with the dog, obviously.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
So in the lesson, you're going to see from the outside, from a trained eye standpoint, some very sloppy training. Very sloppy training. The expectations on the walk are sloppy. The expectations of the commands are sloppy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is for a couple of reasons, obviously. She's limited. I'd like on the walk, we generally would hold the dog to a particular expectation of what we want them to do. Like in this dog's case, the only expectation we have of him is just don't pull on the leash, right? So no matter how much slack you give him, he could go wherever he wants as long as he doesn't pull on the leash, right? And how she's enforcing it is a little bit sloppy. It's not perfect. I'm coaching her through it. I'm trying to get her to be a little bit more consistent about where she's giving her correction and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a little sloppy. When she gives her down commands, he listens, but she asks him like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
like, I'm not really nagging her over it. Like, if he really doesn't listen to her, she'll correct him for it, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not really getting on her too much over it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, but then you'll see, like, we go and do a social with him in it. And in the social, she could recall him away from another dog perfectly. He's listening well, you know? And, like, from where this dog started, he was so fucking psychotic, which is why she signed him up for the board and train in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? He's so respectful of her now, you know? And he doesn't listen perfectly. Right?
Yeah.
It's a little sloppy. But, like, he doesn't pull her down. He pays attention to her. He listens to her when she asks a question. He believes her, you know, that she's not going to take any shit from him.
Yeah.
You know, he used to like kind of resource guard balls and stuff. He's very respectful of toys and stuff around her now. And guess what? That's fine. And listen, we could play this game of like, oh, well, since the expectations are a little gray, isn't it all going to fall apart, you know, later on? It's like, it might get a little sloppier, but like, we'll brush it up then if we need to.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, she's happy. She's so happy. Like you'll see in the video, she says a couple of times in it, she's like, I am just so proud of this dog. I am so grateful. I'm so happy he's doing so well. You know, like all her stresses she had before with him are gone, you know? And it's like, this gets back to big picture of a lot of these things we're talking about here. It's like meet the client and the dog where they need to be met. You know, don't like, you know, this is not a client that you're going to get perfection out of, you know, but you could still help them. You know, and sure, we could play the game of like, did she get too much dog? Right? Yeah. Was it a bad dog for her lifestyle? Probably.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did she need a dog in the first place? Probably not. You know? But like, guess what?
It's here.
She wanted it.
Yeah.
It's here.
It's here.
You know? Like, and it's like we could play the game of being like, oh, you should get rid of this dog or blah, 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 like all day long. But it's like it's probably not gonna happen. So just help him out how you can help him out.
Right.
And as long as you do that, you'll be fine.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what can you do at that point? It's like, we got to make this work.
And it's working.
There you go.
And it's working.
That's all that matters.
So, so you'll see that. There's a cool lesson, obviously. And then, this last one, this is a stupid one. We might have talked about this. I don't remember. We'll talk about it again because we keep getting comments on it. This video is kind of, you know, continuing to be viral, if you will.
Oh boy.
There's a video of me with this little mini doodle. It's a reel of me getting this dog into a car. Quick reel, easy reel, right? The guy's like, my dog won't jump in the car, right? So I was like, all right, show me how you're getting the dog in the car. So he walks the dog over and he like kind of half-assed, get in the car.
Yeah.
And the dog just goes, nope. Right? And puts the brakes on and then he stops. Right? And this dog's this big, right? This is a little dog, right? So he looks at me, he's like, I don't know what to do. I was like, all right, well, let me see the leash, right? And I take the leash and I say, come on, up. And I just don't stop and I keep going. And like, honestly, there's so little resistance from the dog. The dog jumps in, right?
Yeah.
And then the next rep, I walk up to the car, the dog jumps right in.
Yeah.
Jumps right in.
Easy
Like,
peasy.
Literally 2 seconds.
Yeah.
2 seconds. 2 fucking seconds. Let me pull the video up real quick.
Okay, yeah. Let's see.
Show you the video. Hold on.
It's like you destroyed the dog's world.
Bro, you would think I was stabbing this dog repeatedly with a knife based on the comments that I was getting from
Yeah.
him. Here you go. Hold on. Yep. So let me see the leash real quick there. So very similar to what I kind of described. You were kind of committed, but not super committed with it. So what I'm going to do here, obviously she's resisting a little bit. I'm going to keep her moving. Come on. Let's go. There you go. So not getting in was not an option. She's getting in there. And I'm going to do it one more time here. All right. So we're going. There we go. And I did it one time and know how much less resistance there was the second time there. I'm going to have you go ahead and do that next here with her. There we go. Look at that. And this is where obviously once we've gotten her in a couple times, you could use a tree to help her. But the key is if she doesn't want to get in, we're still going. We've got to get in. It's not optional. Okay.
How? Who's
Bro,
mad about this?
Everybody. Let's just read some of these comments, right?
Okay.
Always got to make sure they learn that they're helpless, right?
God. Jesus Christ.
Do you ever recommend that clients get their dogs checked for pain or do a pain trial when behavior like this is happening.
What?
Probably want to stop and go find a job you know something about. Anyone can pull a dog into a car. Not everyone can understand the reason why the dog is refusing to get in the car and change that reason. I can't believe you charge for this. This is not training, and it certainly doesn't center the dog's welfare.
My God.
This one. Fuck conditioning the dog not to be afraid of the car. Just strangle it a little.
Oh, my God.
Next, douche. Next, anybody with a camera thinks they're a dog trainer. Clown shit.
Oh, my God.
Guys, come on.
Was that TikTok?
It's Instagram.
That's Instagram?
Yes.
Wow.
I think TikTok went crazy on it, too. Oh, my God.
Louise.
Oh, my. I struggle with this sometimes because, like, again, my normal logical human brain just says, guys, sometimes a dog just needs to get in the car.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't matter why the dog doesn't want to get in the car. The dog's got to get in the fucking car. Are we asking this unreasonable expectation of a dog to jump 1.5 feet up onto a fucking seat? Like, what is so unrealistic about this? Like, why is this such a like? Why do we need? I think there was a specific comment. I don't remember what it was this morning. Yeah, this one here. Oh, I wonder if they deleted it.
Of course they would.
Yeah, I think they 100% did. Hold on. Yeah, they did. I can only read some of it. This one says,
Darn.
Because I get I have the notification still.
Yeah.
But like most of it's gone. Oh no, I just clicked it also, so it went away.
Oh no.
Oh, motherfucker. Whatever. Something along the lines of it was like, the dog doesn't want to get into the car because it doesn't have a positive association with the car. Why don't you make it have a positive association with the car or something like that? And it's like, I hate this logic. This gets back to like how I had a problem with like the thing that certain people say, you know, regarding e-collars and prong collars being a great tool when used properly, you know, like I hate this logic in the dog world that everything, like the dog has to want to do something in order for us to get them to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with even talking about it, so I'll try to not talk about it too much, obviously. But like, guys, like, it's okay to just tell your dog you have to get in the car.
Yeah.
It's okay. It really is. I promise, right? I promise it is okay to tell your dog you just have to get in the car.
It'll be okay.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I just don't, you know, like 2 seconds. It took me 2 seconds to get this dog to get in the fucking car, right? Nothing bad is happening in the car, guys. It's not like this dog has a negative association because we're making it get in this car and then it's like being burned alive while it's in the car or something like that, right? It's getting in the, it just doesn't want to jump in the car.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little nervous to make the jump, right? Waffles, my fucking little idiot dog, used to not want to walk downstairs when I first got him. 14 weeks old, wouldn't walk downstairs. He wouldn't walk downstairs. And I remember day one, I said, hey, Waffles, we're going to walk down the stairs right now. I didn't beg him with a fucking treat for 3 hours or anything like that. I took the leash and I walked him up to the stairs. I got 3 little steps that go down to the garage. And I said, hey, we're going down the stairs, buddy. And we walked down the stairs. And guess what he did? He fucking thrashed and flailed and just didn't want to go down the stairs. And then he went down the stairs. And then we did it again. And then he went right down the stairs. And we were past it. And I taught him at a very young age, hey, bro, stairs aren't scary.
It's all good.
Guess what he does now? He fucking runs down the stairs.
Yeah.
Is he scared of the stairs? No. Did he need to have a positive association with going down the stairs to go down them?
No.
No. He just learned that
Stairs
you just have to go down the stairs.
Yeah. It's all good.
They're just stairs. They're literally just stairs.
Yeah.
I don't want, like, You don't need to have a positive association with them. You just need to realize the stairs aren't going to kill you.
Yeah.
The stairs are not going to kill you.
Exactly.
And you learn the stairs are not going to kill him.
Yep.
So I don't know. So that's what we're ending with. That's all we got for you guys today. Some random points here. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the fucking comment section. That's it.
That's it.
Right. You got anything else?
No, man. I just think like that's the hill that they're dying on is that one.
That
like,
one. Well, it's one of the many hills
one
that
of
they're
the
dying
many
on, obviously.
Yeah, but I was like, that one is like
biggest takeaways today, icebreaker moments, right? Make sure if there is something we could call Waffles going down the stairs. That was his icebreaker moment when he thrashed and flailed and didn't fucking like it. So we can call that an icebreaker. So icebreaker moment, work your dog past things. And a lot of times you'll see if you finally work them past it and force them to kind of work through those things, things will get better.
Yeah.
Thing number 2, and most importantly, find really good ways to satisfy your dog's urges. Do that. Off-leash hikes are great.
Yep.
Off-leash training in general is great. Obviously, you have the prerequisite of needing to have a good recall established and stuff. But then at that point, once you have your dog compliant, use that training to provide good outlets for your dogs. Don't just stop once they're trained.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's it.
All right.
Catch you guys later.
See ya.